The one lesson that I will share with everybody, if you have a great clean technology concept, etc., lead with the concept, the idea of profits and not saving the earth.
Hi guys, welcome to our second episode of Blockchain Beyond Hype. Today we're talking with Matthew Vitamante from California Global Innovation Exchange about blockchain technology in the cleantech sector. So, we're here today with Matthew. Welcome to Blockchain Zoo.
Thank you.
We're excited to have you here to discuss your thoughts on the blockchain and cleantech. So, as a business owner with a pure focus on innovation, I'm not surprised you have included blockchain technology into the list of technologies to work with. When was it you started working with blockchain? When the boom came or earlier?
Actually, the blockchain technology itself, we started working with it a couple of years ago. Though that being said, the people got more focused on the crypto side of things. That's where the money was going. And we all know that crypto became a sort of a nice test case to see who are the real players. How do we flush out the real companies, the real technologies, and then what was left after the dust settled. So that's where we are right now.
Okay. Could you tell us more about how an exchange like California Global Innovation Exchange, or CAGIX, works? What are you actually helping those SMEs with? Getting funding, getting their strategies in place?
Yeah, sure. So, so just a bit of background. This was born out of the Los Angeles Clean Technology Incubator. The founders, myself and my team, all came from venture capital, investment banking, startups. We were operators, we were advisors. So we had a nice mix of let's just say a hybrid of investment banking and venture capital and startups. So California, as you know, is sort of the hub and the home for innovation, or it was, and it's now obviously starting to expand into other areas. But what we did is we helped companies or startups that were admitted into the incubator, which is a very difficult process. You've got to have a really good, all the due diligence checked out. And then we would help build that company with them, help them get investor ready, coach them, and then close deals, bring in the right capital partners, and then act as their investor relations, so that the next round, all these companies will always need additional funding down the road. So what you want to do is build a bit of a track record and then also a following, but the right followers. Right?
So how do you evaluate which project is actually truly innovative and worth your attention?
Yeah. So first and foremost, it's for me at least, and I can't speak for everybody, but the mantra of CAGIX is focused on team. So we could talk about technology until we're blue in the face, but if the team is not emotionally aware or emotionally intelligent, then we won't work with them. They may have the next Tesla, yada, 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 but we're interested in people that we can work with as a partner versus having them, feed into their ego. So that's first and foremost. Second, that it's a growing, it's sort of a growing pathway to scale, meaning that we want to make sure that we're learning from each other. So each technology, each group, each person that I'm working with or working for, or vice versa, that we're all learning to a certain extent, and that ingredient is also important. The second is what purpose is it serving? So is it another game? Nah, not interested. Is it faster internet? Nah, not really. What I'm interested in is how do we clean up the earth? So if we start with health and the health of the earth and health in people in general, and work our way back to what's most important and how do we use technology, how do we use business in a way that will clean up the industrial mess that we've left behind. And that's why blockchain is very interesting, because it's scalable, it's integratable into any business, So, not to go too far into blockchain, but that piece. Then is the total addressable market big enough? Is it scalable? Part of the reason why we're California Global is because this isn't about California, it's about the globe. So is it scalable? Is it tweakable? Is it customizable for different regions around the world?
Okay, wow. So as a well-known VC expert in the market, I am sure you were flooded with requests for help from various startups working on implementing blockchain into their business models. How many RFQs have you been receiving?
A lot. And fortunately, most importantly, our trusted partners it's all about alignment. So if you and I are aligned, then we can build a lot quicker and we understand each other. But if we're not, we have to spend too much time, I have to spend too much time curating through the stuff that it is not going to serve anybody's purpose, and then it goes back and forth. So alignment is most important. We're receiving an enormous amount of post-ICO mortem syndrome. Maybe we can make up a new symbol around this, or a new acronym.
We could do that.
But all these great technologies are now like, okay, I wasn't able to scam Mr. and Mrs. Smith on their investments, and the ICO market lost $500 billion in 2018. Now we don't have any money, but we have this great technology. Okay, so then we get creative and figure out ways to either bring in money. The one thing we don't want to do is deal with a broken company itself, though we're in the process of potentially putting together a $50 million post-ICO fund, distressed fund, to pick up some of the technologies and then help them scale. But we do have a lot of inquiries, and everybody's asking for help, and they think that if you offer advice and all of that's free. And it doesn't mean that you have to also, we're in the business of business too. I have my shareholders, and we all have to be financially sustainable. But most important is to make sure that the partners that are sourcing from their inner sort of ecosystems, that they're very clear with what we're looking for and vice versa.
Okay. So is that how you filter them then, by making sure that the partners that are looking at their ecosystem know exactly what you're...
Yes, and then also, are these technologies implementable or integratable into the large WeChat companies that we work with, or the IBMs that we work with? Is it integratable into there, and is there a way, what's their technology? We're not really focused too much on helping blockchain companies get started. It's really more about the green tech side of things, the technologies that are actually the boots on the ground, cleaning up the earth and providing free energy sort of thing, and utilizing blockchain technology to systematize it and make it more optimizing it. Okay.
Were you offered shares or equity or tokens to?
All of the above, and and so part of the way we operate is we only get behind a company that, one, we would want equity in the company, and then two, we never bought into the ICO thing at all. I knew, I was part of the .com boom and bust back in the late 90s, and I worked for Credit Suisse tech team, so I got to see and I knew this was coming, and so, maybe even CAGIX does an STO with one of our blockchain partners in Singapore, then I would obviously buy my own token, but right now I'm not interested in anybody else's token. Okay. That all being said, STOs are the way to go. Okay. So we're now focused on helping companies go STO.
All right. So you have onboarded the ones that have been knocking on your doors then?
We have, but it was based off of either their technology was deployable to one of our corporate partners, or we were paid a consulting fee. And so what we do is we get these companies investor ready and all of that, and we have to if it's blockchain, we have to almost untrain them. We have to pull apart what they learned and their ideas about ICOs, that they're not coming back, and that if you don't raise private equity money and startup money, you won't be able to capture the real institutional money when you really need it to go. So there's that, and then the rethinking around how can these companies go STO? Because if you're familiar with STOs, it's a way for them to be able to gain access using their token, but in a more compliant financial regulatory way. That's the way to go. That's a great hybrid solution. So if they're not willing to like rethink it and unlearn what they learned, then it's a pass. Okay. And I'm sure there's plenty of people that'll help them out, but it's not.
So working with clean technologies and contributing to the overall sustainability is a great career path. Most companies know they need to innovate to stay ahead of the competition, but do you think they're only doing this with profits in mind?
So great question. The biggest mistake I made, so my background is in tech and clean tech, investment banking and all that, and then once I started waking up to the fact that we're wrecking our earth, how can I help with my business skills? How can we drive capital into all of these projects that need funding? The one lesson that I will share with everybody, if you have a great clean technology concept, or et cetera, lead with the concept, the idea of profits and not saving the earth. So it's about efficiency, it's about education, it's about scale, it's about redesigning and rethinking how you're going to process something, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And oh, by the way, out of all of that, once you do that, you just reduce your CO2 carbon footprint. You just reduce the toxicity around whatever your byproduct is, or yada, yada, yada. I'm a hippie at heart, and so the mistake I made was
to lead with,
we've got to save the earth, and everybody's like, yeah, that's great. That's really nice.
Yeah.
That's cute. Come back to us when you're,
when
in
we
10
can make,
years.
Yeah.
But and so what I learned is drive with, hey, this is going to save you money, transparency, accuracy, quality, efficiency, right?
Yeah.
Boom. Very accurate to hear that thunder and lightning.
What happens to the startups that you do work with? Are they getting acquired by giant corporations that want to stay afloat, or talk about being innovative, or maybe corporations are actually putting more thoughts into sustainable development, hence the interest in innovative solutions?
We're doing investments. We're bringing in corporate venture investments from large conglomerates like Volvo, BMW, Caterpillar, Black & Decker, WeChat, because the technology that they're servicing, or the technology that they're investing in these companies they will use that as a preferred service and use that technology to beta test whether they want to acquire it and then become their own business development arm with all their existing contracts and all their existing relationships. So we've got 3 or 4 of those companies right now that we just closed these deals with, and now they will actually, so when I say close the deal, they made $15, $20 million investments, and now they want to buy the company. And why it makes sense for the shareholders of the existing startup technology and also for the corporate is that the startup technology doesn't have the corporate infrastructure nor the business execution ability to gain access to the global market. So if it's a Caterpillar and it's a $30 billion company, well, you're going to have access to all of their customers. Okay. Corporates are now waking up to, oh, we missed the boat on the green investing, first wave of green investing, but wait, we can make money, we can save efficiency, and unfortunately, but it also, you cut your employment staff a bit because the technologies are superseding the need for manpower. So we can talk about that later, but that's another. So the corporations are like, oh, this is great. And by the way, it's quieter, it's cleaner, it's free once we buy the company. Once we make the capital investment into this technology, it's free energy from there on in, and we get to market it. Then they say, oh, here's to our shareholders, our biggest shareholders in the world, and to the world, oh, we're green.
Yeah. Okay. Turning businesses into sustainable companies means that there needs to be an increased focus on the triple bottom line. Same attention needs to be given to environmental and social impacts as we give to the economic impact. But how does this translate to innovation? Are sustainable innovations more expensive?
So I'll answer, how does it translate to innovation, and does it make it more expensive? So that's what's driving innovation, is corporate profits, impressing your shareholders, and those big corporate investors are now seeing that you can be green and actually make money around it. So it's fueling innovation. Innovation is, it's kind of like the internet. We looked at the internet as how can we do things better instead of, dropping a piece of mail off. Well, now, right, nobody even uses email anymore. We use WeChat to download documents because it's faster. And and then there's blockchain, and there will be another blockchain type 2.0 or 3.0 in the coming years. And so that will continue to fuel. My concern about that is that with that happening in parallel with AI, there won't be any jobs. So we as business leaders and the universities and the governments really have to wake up to how do we train these people to continue to learn blockchain, to continue to learn green technology, to continue to learn innovative ways to get these companies funded. And then the second piece was
are sustainable innovations then more expensive?
Are more expensive? Gosh, let's just say that they're becoming more in favor now, because we just went through the first tranche, the first 10 years of sustainable technologies and investments. There was a lot of failures. I was part of a lot of bankruptcies. I was also part of things that did work. Lots of government money went in there, et cetera. Just one thing about the government. Government is not in the business of innovation. We cannot rely on the government to come up with why is the government not cleaning up the water and this and that. It's about all of us in this room. It's about you, it's about me, it's about all of our people that we know. How do we bring it to the government? But people are relying too much on the government. So in terms of expensive, no, actually, there are certain things that you'll pay a premium for depending on what it is. So water is the biggest issue on this planet, and we keep avoiding it. We keep avoiding it. So water will be it's going to be the new gold in the coming years, because we can't survive without water. Can't function whatsoever. Our bodies are 80% water, right? So I think water technology will go way up. Solar, wind, and all of that stuff that is a supplement to other types of fossil fuel energies, those will be commoditized, and they already are. So it's dirt cheap. And it'll be part of the ecosystem, but you really want to focus on the necessities: clean food and clean water. And we can talk about blockchain until we're blue in the face about all these great tinker things that we can do, but if we don't have clean food and water, then
pretty
good
much
luck.
no life. Yeah,
It doesn't matter. You can't blockchain yourself out of that one.
No, you cannot. Does it take more time then to build something that is more aligned with sustainability objectives?
The answer is yes, and then also no, because anything that's being built now is already thinking in a more sustainable designed way from its genesis. Nobody's going to come out with a new oil, right, or a new plastic bottle, unless the plastic bottle you can chew on and swallow, and it makes you, strong and energy, and but that's not going to happen. So investors won't invest in companies like that are not sustainable in its thinking, but they also don't want to invest in pie in the sky sort of things that, coming from California, I've seen some incredibly interesting things that we knew wouldn't get funded. Maybe they get funded in a couple of years or in 10 years because it's a nice idea, but we have to think about the infrastructure first. How is the infrastructure and the ecosystem intricated or integrated in a way that is serving a sustainable need? And that's where we are. We're still early on this, but sustainable investments in general, everything is sustainable in a lot of ways. If you're cutting time, freight deliveries by 2 days, that's sustainable. Because you're using, because maybe they get that, or maybe instead of sending it to you in Ubud, maybe somebody has an Amazon locator here, and instead of having it shipped from Singapore to Ubud, there's something right around the corner here that they can, and then you just saved on that carbon and on fuel. So there's different layers and different dimensions of sustainable design thinking.
How is blockchain technology used as an answer to those questions?
So we're working with a couple of companies right now. One of them in particular is NTradeX, which is it's a 12-year-old German waste to energy company. So they take waste, they gasify it, and then they sell the energy either back to the grid or to their or they use the heat to drive other energy systems in the house or in the building. And if you're global, blockchain allows for you to be transparent, optimize efficiency, reduce costs, reduce errors, which are costly, and increase your profit margins.
All right. Innovation requires specific change in mindset. You don't become an eco-friendly company overnight. Every person in the company needs to have this in mind. Like you said, it needs to be a part of a bigger purpose. I'm not sure if Tesla is the best example, but it has certainly shown how to accelerate the adoption of electric cars and reduce air pollution. Which project have you lately onboarded which ticked all those boxes?
So I would say the FreeWire Technologies, which, by the way, interestingly enough, it's a lithium-ion powered remote charging module. So it means that you can remotely charge cars, you can remotely charge industries and companies, and Caterpillar actually just invested in them, and they use their lithium-ion battery technology, which, by the way, is probably, there's some relationship to Tesla's battery technology, right? Because you may take a piece of that and then customize it for this module. So FreeWire Technologies is really interesting. And they use blockchain obviously for their global operations and for expanding into Japan and all of that. Also Connect Homes, which is a sustainable prefab retrofitted house that uses sustainable materials, and they use to be able to accelerate their production. They use blockchain technologies.
Okay, wow. So what is the major disruption and shift blockchain technology is bringing to the table in the clean tech sector?
Blockchain enables it enables these unsexy or not sexy technologies and these processes to become sexier, right? And to be able to grow into other markets that they probably wouldn't have access to, because at the end of the day, their suppliers and or their end users will get a cheaper and more reliable product, energy, or end product due to blockchain, right? So if we see blockchain as a generic way of extrapolating as much as you can, extrapolating as much margin and efficiency and being as clear and focused as possible, blockchain helps within that. And then the smart contracts and all of that, it takes away the arguments.
It takes away the stress. And the beauty of blockchain in a lot of ways is that it's safe for the most part. It's encrypted and then it's done. And it allows for everybody to be focusing on the bigger picture, which is how do we make this better? How do we clean up the earth? How do we drive this into a new market?
All right. So thank you for telling us about CAGIX.
Thank you.
We do like to ask all our guests, how do you envision blockchain changing the world?
Well, I see it driving, to be quite honest, a bit of panic.
Okay.
Because it's going to, the delta, the rate of change that's happening within all industries due to blockchain is wiping out existing businesses. And so, and I do not think that blockchain development and innovation and education and development will be able to provide, replace those jobs for people. Because if you're talking about brick and mortar, or not even maybe it's not even brick and mortar, maybe it's even Web 2.0 stuff, or maybe it's just a business that is going to now cut 10% of their workforce because they don't need the lawyers now. You've got smart contracts. Whatever the case may be. So I do think that's going to happen, and it's already happening in parallel with AI right now. That's what's a bit concerning for me. The flip side of it is we'll figure it out, right? And something will emerge out of it, and new types of universities, and they may not be the going to school for 4 years now is kind of almost like, it's erroneous. There's no need to be getting a degree anymore because there's no jobs out there. You're a startup, either to be invested or acquired by a corporation, or you're a technology developer. And that'll be in the next 5 years. And so, and that's happening now, but it's, but I think it will also alleviate if the governments wake up and provide some sort of value-added tax, the VAT tax, where people are not living paycheck to paycheck, to buy ourselves some times for the employment to catch up, because that's the laggard of the indicator. Then I think it will serve its purpose that it should, and there will be new emerging technologies coming out of blockchain.
Okay. How do you think the blockchain-based solutions market will evolve?
Okay, the actual market itself, it's going to get faster, more accurate, and spread like wildfire into all the businesses. And I think that's what will happen. But for me, I'm relatively new in blockchain. I've only been around it for a couple of years, so I'm not sure I can, provide a real vision to it. But if you're not part of blockchain, then you will definitely be left behind. But there's another piece to this. If the STO market doesn't go as strong as I was hoping or what I'm predicting, a lot of these earlier stage companies will have a tough time getting funded because nobody's going to invest in their coin unless there is government regulation. So the real key to all of this right now is the STO market, having regulation, and making sure that grown-ups are running the business, not 18-year-old kids in their basement trying to program away. And nothing wrong with that. It just, you can't then accept other people's money if you don't have a compliant business. And you want to drag in the institutional money, you want to drag in the government money, you want to drag in the IBM money, right? But you're going to have to do it with a financial regulatory compliant way.
Yeah. Okay. All right. This has been fascinating. So thank you.
Thank you.
Again.
Thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure coming to speak with us at Blockchain Zoo about CAGIX, innovation, and Cleantech. And we wish you luck on all your current and future projects.
Thank you very much. You as well.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for watching. We at Blockchain Zoo are looking forward to bringing you our next guest in the next episode.